In this video, I'd like to explore the question of identity. In Zen Coaching, we have as one of the fundamental principles that all human beings long to come home to themselves. We all have this wish to live deeply connected with ourselves, to come home to our natural, authentic being and live from there. So that is a basic principle. And another basic principle is that when we are disconnected from ourselves, from our deeper nature, then we suffer. And the greater the distance between who we take ourselves to be and who we truly are in our nature, the greater is the suffering. And the more problems we experience in life. So these are two premises we work with in Zen Coaching. Now, what is it, this center, this authentic being that we can disconnect from? Who are we truly in our being? What and who is our true nature, our true identity? And what does it mean when we say we disconnect from it? What and who are we then? What do we take ourselves to be when we take ourselves to be something different than our natural state, our authentic being? So based on these two premises, when we support people as a coach in the Zen way, our orientation is to support people not to fix the challenges we have in life on the external. People have many challenges. We all have many challenges with health, with money, with relationship, with money, with finding our true passion in life, with having work that is satisfying, and so on. Inner conflicts, negative, difficult states like depression, anxiety, loneliness, isolation, frustration, and so on. And the tendency we have as humans is to try to rearrange life so that these problems go away or don't arise. And there are many ways we can work with changing our approach on the external situations in life. In Zen Coaching, our approach is, before we do external changes, reconnect inside to a deeper place. If the problems we have in life have as their source a disconnection from our authentic self, then it follows that the solution, the fundamental solution to our problems, is to reconnect with our deeper self. And this is not just a theory, but something we see in every single Zen Coaching session. That it happens as people disidentify from the mental realm and from trying to fix and land inside in a deeper place. The world starts to look much more positive. Our problems no longer feel like unsurmountable problems, but more a challenge that we can deal with. We find creativity to do something intelligent, wise with our problems. So that is why we don't support the tendency to try to think of a solution and fix the external situation, but rather to turn around and go in. Now, when we look at this movement out in, coming home to a deeper part of myself, deeper aspect or deeper nature, more authentic being, and disconnecting, it is really a question about identity. Who am I? When we are not landed in something that feels real and true inside, then there is a kind of a disorientation, a certain disturbance in our system, a certain lack of relaxation, a vibration of insecurity, ungroundedness. There's something lacking inside, which is a disturbance, a kind of stress, a fear, an anxiety under the surface. And this disturbance is something that, of course, we don't enjoy to have. And so we try to manage it in various ways, to minimize it, and to create a situation where we're not troubled by it, or we're not even aware of it. So we stay busy. So we focus on getting what we want and need from the outside. We get occupied with doing and thinking and seeking. It's like not seeking for enlightenment, but seeking for feeling good, having my needs met. By having the friends, having the work, having the hobbies, having the exercise, having the nature, having the money, having the safety, having the connection, having the comfort, having. Doing, thinking, having. So all these patterns of activity come on top of this underlying insecurity and restlessness and ungroundedness, and then, of course, most of us have experienced various pains in life. Childhood difficulties, maybe abuse, maybe mistreatment, maybe isolation, maybe traumatic incidences, losses of all kinds, which are also in our system as a disturbance. And these disturbances stored in our mind, in our emotions, in our body, also get activated in different situations. So it is easy to believe that if I could only heal and release and come beyond these old, difficult emotions, unhealed, undigested difficulties, then I can live in peace, joy, meaning, creativity, and so on. Unfortunately, it's not quite like that because of this fundamental restlessness, which has a deeper cause, which is this disconnection from my deeper nature. So even I heal all my wounds from the past, that doesn't mean necessarily I come to a deep, this amazing inner peace, inner contentment, inner spaciousness. that is the underlying longing, the longing to come home, and the sense of a disturbance inside. What happens in my experience is that if we have suffered more disturbances in childhood, like trauma, difficult situations, incomplete care, big losses, we are more disturbed, and our urge to seek a deeper solution is stronger. In that sense, it's even a benefit to have suffered more in childhood than average, because if everything was fine, not perfect, but fine, then our strategies to cope with this underlying vibration of stress is less often. And then we might miss the opportunity to do that journey, in the inner journey home. Then most people have, through life, some special experiences where the world opens and a deeper magic, a deeper sense of wonder, and an immense inner satisfaction arises, where we feel this world is truly amazingly loving, beautiful, and perfect. And we're filled with an amazing, spacious, peaceful, self-loving, all-loving, wonderful, devotional appreciation of life itself, and being in touch with the mystery of it all and the gift of it all. These moments, called peak experiences, normally, often, most people have, whether or not one is actively looking for them. And these moments, these experiences show us what is possible, what is a potential for the human life. Question is, can these peak experiences become integrated? Can we find a place inside where the peak experience is a natural state, not just once a year or once every 5 years or very occasional special moments, but something more of a daily, ongoing, lived experience? So I started saying it's a question of identity. If we look deeper, we have these two kinds of identities and a layer between. So we have our ordinary identity, which is built on top of this kind of discontent, restless anxiety, not being fully one with myself. Then we build a structure, a house, a life on top of that to make our life work and to get the sense that I am somebody. I have succeeded in life. I can cope in life. I can have joy in life. I can have relationship. I can have work. I am a person who can deal with life, and I have a clear role in society, in community, among my friends, my family. I am somebody, and I have managed to create independence and autonomy, an ability to function and to find meaning and joy in life sufficiently to feel that life it's a good life. It's also a challenging life, but it's worth living, and there's enough joy and fun and satisfaction that it's really worth living. So this identity, ordinary identity, is an accomplishment that takes a long time and a lot of effort and a lot of support. And when it's not successful, I become a dysfunctional person. Difficulty functioning in work, in relationship, difficult finding meaning, a lot of strong anxiety, loneliness, isolation, frustration. It becomes very difficult to cope with life. I feel life is like an ongoing intense struggle with glimpses of well-being. That is traditionally what psychotherapy in the old days focused on. How to help people who haven't succeeded, either permanently or temporarily, to function in such a way that life is good enough. So to bring people from a dysfunctional ordinary self into a functional ordinary self. This is not our orientation in Zen coaching. Yes, certainly that is part of it, but it doesn't deal with the deeper cause of dissatisfaction, discontentment. It doesn't invite in the deeper contentment, joy, meaning, wonder, devotion, potential possibility that a human being has. Not only individually, but collectively, because how we are individually is the social structures we create and the world we create. I remember now we just had an election in Norway, and on the political landscape very often there's a left-right axis. So of course it's a very big simplification to put all political positions on a linear scale from left to right. How far out on the right are you? How far out on the left are you? It's really a huge simplification. What if the political landscape really is more like a ball and you can be all over the place inside that ball? It gets a bit complicated. So we simplify, we put things on this scale. But one thing on this scale we often see is the discussion of individual liberty. So the right side champions the individual freedom and reduction of state control over the individual. And the left side emphasizes social support networks, that we belong to a society, that social structures determine how the quality of life of the individual. If the social structures cause racism or cause injustice or cause big groups of the population to be mistreated or poor, then this individual freedom is not really worth anything. So we have this individual freedom, the society is created by individuals and we must give the individual the freedom. Or social structures and support from the collective, focus on how the collective shapes the individual. How the collective shapes the individual, how the individual shapes the collective. So what's the reality? Are we creators of the collective or are we created by the collective? What if the answer is yes and? So the individual creates the collective and the collective creates the individual, both. So our identity, however we are on this scale, if our orientation is on restructuring the external in one way or the other, we are not really touching on the deeper aspect of freedom. So as I go in and I reconnect with my deeper authentic being, I see that my autonomy is not a separateness from the whole. As I discover my true freedom inside, I realize I'm not separate from anything or anyone else. So this whole political battle takes on a different perspective. So reconnecting with my authentic nature is not on the individual freedom aspect of the political left-right. It is coming to the freedom of being who I truly am in my being, and seeing that this inner being is not something separate from the world as such. This dichotomy between collective and individual is dissolved and resolved. So if we look at peak experiences, they are often characterized by a sense of not only wonder, devotion, meaning, contentment, fulfillment, expansion, but also of a sense of oneness. One with some kind of spirit, some kind of energy, some kind of wholeness, and a sense of I am in all and all are in me. We are together. Self-love and love for others are one. So this identity built on top of a disconnection has a shaky ground. And yet it is such an accomplishment, and losing it, we spent our whole life building it. Especially the first 5 years of life was such a mission to create this sense of, oh, I can manage. You know, first you have to manage to walk, to talk, to go to the toilet, to eat. Then you become 6, 7, you can go to school alone, you start to learn, read, write, read books. Then you become 10, 12, puberty, you can have sexual relations. Then you realize you can hold a job, you can make your own money, you can move out from home, create your own family. 17, 18, 20, you enter the world. Such a big task on so many levels. And yet so shaky. Even I feel confident and strong. There is this sense, if we really look inside, all of it is built on shaky ground. So this is how I understand the teaching of the Buddha, that the fourfold truth, that life is suffering, or there is suffering, inevitable, the dukkha, dissatisfaction. There is dukkha. There is this underlying sense of something is not quite right. Dukkha. There is suffering in all of us. And we cover it up because we don't want to feel it. And we try to succeed, this accomplishment. I have myself. I know who I am. But this sense of I know who I am needs support, because fundamentally it lacks support. So it needs support from the outside. I need people to see me, to confirm me, to validate me, to listen to me, to pat me on the shoulder, to like what I do. It is basically narcissistic, not in a pathological sense, but this constructed self is in constant need of having the support from somewhere in order to feel integrated and safe. Because inside there is a lack of support. In our inner being, we know intuitively or directly there is a lack of support here. Taking a breath, sensing, I'm not trying to convince you of anything, just speaking to your knowing, so you can check, is something resonating as true inside myself, inside yourself? The way home is first of all to recognize that my whole success as creating myself as an identity lacks a real foundation, and to say yes to the shakiness and groundlessness and not knowing that is there under the surface. It's a humbling experience to allow myself to feel the fear of losing myself, that of not having a well held together identity, to say yes to being unsure of who and what I am, to start to question my success and to see it as something outer to my true nature. And this takes a stopping and a sensing into a deeper layer inside, which is not so solid. Quicksand inside, a shakiness. And to allow the not knowing. I don't know. Who am I? What am I? Instead of trying to find the answer, go, I don't know. And I'm willing to stay with that not knowing. And I'm willing to feel the groundlessness and emptiness of not knowing. And this frequency of fear, anxiety. Can I welcome it? Can I say yes to it? This is really the master key if we want to come home deeply to ourselves. In everyday life, normally it means to say yes to a feeling of vulnerability. I'm vulnerable. I feel vulnerable. For my ordinary self, vulnerability is a threat because it takes me to that layer of insecurity and groundlessness. For the one who seeks to return home, vulnerability is a wonderful doorway, the gateway, the necessary path, yes, to vulnerability. And life will always push our buttons and invite us to meet our vulnerability. And to be able to hold our vulnerability, we need some access to some strength and trust. So those are very good qualities to have. And if we don't have them ourselves, then to have a community, a friend, a coach, a therapist, somebody who can lend us their trust. Not help us fix ourselves, but just say, it's okay to feel vulnerable. That is what we offer in Zen Coaching, this space where now shakiness and vulnerability is warmly welcome, is seen as something marvelous, like a real possibility. And one aspect of vulnerability and this shaky field between ordinary self and the deeper self is longing, the longing of the heart. What do I long for most deeply? This question. Not what do I want in life, what quality of life do I long for? I long for love, peace, joy, strength, contentment, space, clarity. What do I long for? A allowing that longing to be felt in the body. So in this move from outer external orientation to internal, I go through breath, through body, through longing, to not knowing, vulnerability. This takes practice, and this takes support from others, especially when this field gets really shaky, scary. Because in this shift from this ordinary self back home is a dissolution, a loss of our sense of self, an ego death, a death of who we are. There are many deaths, many small deaths, and sometimes a big death. The bigger the death, the dissolution, our organism takes it similar to physical death, fear of disappearing completely. And it is a disappearing of what we have taken ourselves to be. We have to be brave. Courage is needed. Trust is needed. I don't know what I will find on the other side of this land of not knowing. Shakiness, vulnerability, not knowing, dissolution. Breath helps me. Feeling the ground helps me. Support helps me. Curiosity helps me. Openness helps me. All my practice of meditation, mindfulness, being in nature helps me. Having taken care of my body, having some strength, physical strength, helps me. Healthy living helps me. Good food, good drink, good air. All these things are resources to help me dissolve, disappear into the unknown. So that is the journey home. Goes through this layer of dissolution, and many things need to be seen and met there, and including all the mechanisms that said, no, 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 go back, that's a dangerous place to go, no, no, no. Different parts of our mind is saying, go back, this is just bad place to go, dangerous, avoid. These are the protector parts in our mind that has had this success with ordinary life and wants to protect us. We see them. Awareness is needed. Aware of these patterns without believing too much in them. Seeing without engaging. Talking with them, maybe. I see you, I hear you. Right now is a safe space, and I'm ready. This will be good for you and me. Then I could go on and on. Through this process, every feeling fully felt turns into peace, love, and essence, is one way to put it. If I can stay completely in a yes to my inner experience, it will open me to another sense of self, identity, true identity. This is a big process, but the sense of identity in the inner realm of essential, of source, is a completely different sense of identity. This is an identity of presence in the moment, needing no external support and not being based on history and skills. My identity as a field of presence with different qualities, and there is a wonder and openness and sensitivity and receptivity, and all the forces are still operating in me, and the capacities to read and write and work and take care of my body and are still there, but they are not my identity anymore. And this identity is fluid, is non-separate, is not fixed. It's coming home. And this home is a dynamic unfoldment of mystery, and it is completely in the moment. It cannot be remembered. If I then fall out of it again, The day after, I'm like, was that real? It's like a dream. True identity for the ordinary identity is just a dream. It can't be held in memory. It only exists in the now. So this was what I wanted to share, that all the sense of identity that we have constructed and created and that we seek support for and that needs feeding is fundamentally self-centered and to some degree narcissistic, selfish. Our ordinary life has at its root a fundamental selfish self-centeredness. It's not bad, it's just how it is, because it's built on shaky ground. True generosity of the heart, true win-win collaboration and togetherness, true love can only happen from the inside out, where we are full, rich, content, in the moment, myself, here, not needing something from the outside, but loving to share with the outside, with the world, with others, loving to share, contribute, loving to receive also, but not to prop up a basic insecurity on the inner identity, inner self, essential self. There's compassion, curiosity, clarity, confidence. There's peace. There's groundedness, there's spaciousness, and there is an infinity to explore. It's not one final thing I found, that's it, finished. It is a cosmos of exploration. An eternal exploration, an eternal adventure. And then we move back and forth between these layers, middle, outer, inner. Life is this movement. And wherever we are not fully integrated in the inner, life will give us a punch, show us, trigger us, show us where we are not integrated in our center. And over time, we realize that we need to be triggered. We need to be slapped by life. We need to be troubled in order to continue our growth journey. The obstacles are not blocking our path. The obstacle is our path. Becomes more and more clear. This is a Zen saying. Becomes clear that the obstacles are just showing me something. Everything is a mirror. Life is really a mirror showing me where I'm identified with a false self. And showing me where I need to, again, go through a layer of contractions and open into a deeper trust. That is the approach in Zen coaching. And it has so many components, elements, but the basic principle is quite simple. So, to go back to the Buddha, there is suffering. But there is also a way out of suffering. There is peace, and there is a way to peace. So to understand the root of suffering and to understand the way to peace or essence, source, that the way to is to include, embrace, to find the yes to that shaky middle ground, the vulnerability, the not knowing, the yes, getting comfortable with discomfort, being curious about exploring all those rooms and parts, not just to heal old pain, but to look at how I'm actually falsely identified. I am not who I think I am. Even I heal all my pain, if my identity is still in this constructed self, I'm fundamentally in the same mess. I'm in the same basic trouble. We can't heal our way to awakening to our essence. taking a breath, stop, here I am, notice what's going on, allow what's happening. Then there is finally the magic that life, if I practice stop, notice, allow, fully experience my experience, and be aware of space inside out, life is has this magical ability to take me where I need to go. It's not that I take myself from here to there. Life is like a river seeking the sea. If I stay in stop, notice, allow, breathe, there is an unfoldment of life that takes me through these layers and takes me to the people and situations that I need to meet and be with, the teachers I need to meet, the trouble I need to have. There's a guidance in life. Surrendering to the flow of life and being open to stay with shakiness, trusting that life is working for me and never against me, trusting the unfoldment. And in this way we can support each other without a fixing mentality. Just be a supporting space, some good questions, helping people stay with their own unfoldment, and life opens in surprising ways.